Hey kids, and welcome to the show. Today I'm going to be talking to you about surviving the coming apocalypse. Well, kind of. And the way we're going to do that is by understanding the importance of cooking big meals. And why I say big meals is simply this. If you make a big meal and you're responsible, you can take those meals and make them into a lot of smaller meals and put those away. And if you can get on a pattern, you're going to save a whole lot of money. In my last video, I was talking about inflation and how inflation is going to really hurt families when their food costs go way above their cost. When they go to 40%, it's crisis mode. When countries have done this, there's been really bad things that happen. So people get into crisis mode at 20 or 30%. But at 40%, people are doing desperate things. So how do you cut your food cost without cutting your food? Well, learn to do what our grandparents did. During the Great Depression, people learned to use water. Water was a filler. And then other fillers came into play. Things like rice, things like bread. Those are fillers. But where are we going to find some really easy to store items that we can use on an everyday basis? When I talk prepping, I always talk about prep yourself so you can survive for at least 3 weeks. Currently, we are in a winter storm. Most of the U.S. is. And we have access to our well water, but some of our pipes are frozen. We're still in construction. It's cool. That's pretty awesome. Later this afternoon, the water will be great and we'll be good to go. We've already stored water. We have water, clean drinking water, clean cooking water, clean cleaning stuff. And this is the one time where we allow paper plates. Now, our paper plates have to be able to be compostable, no styrofoam. We don't like that stuff here. But we use paper plates when the weather is bad and electricity might go down. Right now, we're using our energy to heat. Now, if the grid were to go down in less than ideal situations and we couldn't get to the grocery store or basically anywhere to get food, what would we do? Well, firstly, we have a few different ways to cook food. We have propane, we have butane, and we have electric. So hopefully one of those will suffice. I guess we also have wood. A little tougher, but I can make a wood fire and we can cook. So we've done weirder things. So that's it. When you're prepping, we're smiling. Everything's good. Power goes out. Things are going to be a little hairy, but everything's still going to be good. We've got propane. And that's how we stay warm. But how do we feed ourselves? Well, we feed ourselves like we do anytime. We have lots of staples that we continue to resupply every month. So just like in a restaurant, you would take your oldest items and use those. And that's what we do. Our staples are items we use on a regular basis. Those are your pastas, your rice, your grains. Those things that are fillers. They're cheap and they can make a big meal. You just need a little bit of protein to go with that to satisfy people. And then you can try to grow some leafy greens and things like that in your greenhouse. So that's where you need to start thinking, okay, well, I'll just cook some beans. And a lot of people are like, well, a lot of people say, let's just cook some beans. We'll store 50 pounds of beans and we're good because beans have protein. Well, here's the secret about beans. Beans is the reason our food truck was so successful. We couldn't make beans and rice fast enough. Our red beans and rice won several awards. We were state fair food of the year one year. We just won a lot of awards with our red beans and rice. And the thing is, red beans and rice is a very simple dish. The problem is most restaurants have processed red beans and rice. They come from a plant in New Orleans or something. That's what most people said. I was talking to a chef and he said, oh yeah, our gumbo comes from New Orleans. And I was like, oh yeah. He goes, it comes in a bag and we defrost it and we pour it in your bowl. And I was like, ouch. Well, our food truck, we did fresh. It was fresh daily. And our red beans and rice was our #1 seller. It was also our #1 profit maker. And the reason was, at the time, and don't get mad at me, I've always been honest with my pricing, everybody knows this. At the time, our cost to make a small red beans and rice, our red beans and rice were vegan, by the way, bestseller, again, was about 36 cents. And if you came to my food truck, a small was about $8. A small was a pretty big small. Our smalls were enough to feed 2 or 3 people. So it was a big portion. Our large was gigantic. Our large was huge. It was $12. But the cost we had into the large was about 46 cents. It's because the vegetables are cheap. I chopped them up myself. We put the spices in there, and then we cooked them. Now, here's why we make so much money and why so many people would pay us to make red beans and rice. Now, mind you, I could make a pot of red beans and rice for about $50. And when I say a pot, I'm talking a big pot that would feed 200 or 300 people. And for $50, I could feed 200 or 300 people red beans and rice, delicious, and make $8 a person. So we were very successful. And then if you wanted a little sausage grilled on it, it's $2 more. Sausage was cost for the sausage. We were basically just charging cost for the sausage because we were making such a big profit on the red beans and rice. But we could have tried to make a profit on the sausage. We didn't want to take advantage of our customers because we already kind of were. However, that goes over to a seafood gumbo that we're selling on that truck. And our regular gumbo is $12. And it's going to cost us $6, $7 sometimes, depending on what the food costs are for a seafood gumbo or for a regular gumbo. That's the cost. We make about $3 or $4. So we're not making much on those gumbos. And then when we add seafood to it, we're adding the cost. So it's getting more expensive for our customer and for us, because where our cost for a regular gumbo might have been $6 and we were charging $10, when we raised that, you don't make as much profit. Now remember, we were selling more red beans and rice and making almost $8 a bowl than we were a gumbo, where our truck was called La Gumbo Yaya, where we were making about $2 or $3 a bowl. And why? Because we marketed our red beans and rice as being special. We were the only vegan dish at the state fair, which made it special. We did a lot of things that made us special. And one of the biggest things we did that made it special was, and I'm really proud of this, we started a group called the Oklahoma City Christian Food Truck Coalition. And about 25 trucks were in this group that we started. And basically it was, hey, let's get together a couple times a year and feed the homeless. Let's have a food truck festival for the homeless. And so we started it, and it was wonderful. Then we created these little stickers that said 33.32. Most people thought that meant some type of scripture verse. 32:33, 32:33. Everyone thought that was a scripture verse, and it wasn't. The 32:33, I can't remember where we came up with the idea, but it's a ministry term. It was in a ministry conference, and we were talking about the difference between water and ice. And I don't know, maybe I don't remember where we got this, but the idea was 32 and 30 degrees. 32 degrees and 33 degrees. 32 degrees, your ice. 33 degrees, your water. And it just takes that one little degree. And we're talking, the span of temperatures. And it just takes that one little degree of difference to make a difference in someone's life. So the goal of the group was never to feed the homeless. That was never the goal of the group. The goal of the group was to make someone that didn't have a home smile. That was our mission. There's a million ways for a person to get a meal in Oklahoma City. There is. And I used to be out on the street all the time with the guys. They could eat 5-6 meals a day. What they got from us on our thing was they got the fellowship. They got to feel safe. On the food truck, we had the sticker, and any of the food truckers that were in our coalition would put this sticker on their truck, hide it somewhere. And when one of the people that came to our homeless event, we called it homeless. It started off being called Feed the Homeless, and we just took it over. But it really was open to the community. It was a free meal. And it was just fellowship. Music, sometimes we had, anyway. Anyone that did that, provided food for that, and wanted to participate in our group and be listed on our website would put this sticker on. You couldn't buy the sticker. We gave them to people that committed to doing our monthly event at least 3 times a year. And this is the big one, to put this sticker someplace in their vehicle that would acknowledge that you are a safe place to ask for a meal. So around the homeless community, they said, hey, if you see that little black and white sticker there, that's a safe place. Go up there and say, hey, I don't have any money. Can you get me something to eat? And they, no questions asked, you pass the meal. And that was it. It was simple as that. And on their menus, most of them would have something written on their menus, and we did too. I was looking at some old pictures the other day. I was really proud of that. But from the time we opened, it said, no one has ever turned away for their inability to pay. It's always something like that. We will never turn you away if you can't pay. And we gave away a few meals, enough to be proud of. And more than that, we heard some stories, and I learned so much about the homeless community. And so I have a lot of opinions about that community, because I have this really cool relationship with it. And so we started this group, and we made a safe place in Oklahoma City for people to go and say. So why is that so cool? Because here's a story. I was parked at this new up-and-coming food truck park, and it was the place to be. And one of the homeless guys walks up to me. I say the homeless guys because context, right? He comes up to me and says, hey, Willie. Like in my window, he says, hey, Willie, you think I can get a free meal tonight? I know we're at this special event, and this isn't kind of the normal, you're just parked. Is it cool if I get a free meal tonight? And I said, no, absolutely, man. And then he goes, I'm on a date. And you think my girl can get a free meal? And I said, oh, absolutely. And then he proceeded to tell me, he said, he goes, yeah, because I'm clean. I haven't done any drugs in a while. And he gave me the dates, and I don't remember the dates, but I remember him telling me he was clean, and he was like that. And he said he didn't have any cash, and he wanted to take this girl out, and she knew he was broke because she had been on the street too. So he wasn't posing or anything. He was just trying to show this young lady a really good time. And he said, I could get a meal there and I can split it with her. And that's what he was asking. That's not what he got. What he got was the chef coming off the truck and just making a big deal about this VIP. And we served them on their table. We brought nobody else. He was the VIP. And it was just an amazing experience at the end of the night. I said, it was great seeing you. I'll see you next time. And I even said, thanks for all your help. And then I got back on the truck, and we had this great night. Here's where it gets special. About a year later, that same young man came up to the truck. And he said, I want to marry that girl. I got a job. I just got an apartment. And I wanted to put a couple bucks in your fund to pay for somebody's meal. And thank you. So the other day, it was probably about a month ago, we were driving through the city. And I saw one of those food trucks that were in the coalition. I haven't been there in years. I don't know if anybody's still doing it. But I saw the sticker. And I know what it means. I kind of want to walk up to that truck and see if I can get a free meal. I don't know what came of that ministry, but I'd like to think it's continuing on, because not everybody on the street is there because they want to be. Some are. Some, it's a temporary stop to something really cool. And some, it's the last place they'll ever see. So don't worry about giving people money on the street. Sometimes that's very dangerous. When you see people holding a sign, don't worry about, oh shoot, I don't want to make eye contact. What you should do is this. You look them in the eye, make eye contact, smile, and wave. Don't say sorry. Don't say, oh, I don't have anything today. Just smile. Because when it came down to it, those hundreds of events that we did, and man, we did some really cool things. Every time I asked them what made this more special than the other places, because other ministries have done this and some are very good, because this is one of, this isn't we are the only, this is one of, and this is what a lot of people said. We accepted people for who they were. We didn't preach at them. We did prayer, because that's who I am. We did prayer, but we didn't preach. I didn't do sermons. I cooked for them. I honored them in the way my grandparents honored the guests that came into our home. I cooked for them. And that was my ministry. And I constantly said, we're not here to feed you. There's places to feed. We're here to put a smile on your face. And that's what they said. You have a smile when we arrive, and you have a smile when we leave. And you never had any other alternative, ulterior motives other than to say, we're just here to say, if you need a smile, we're there. We don't have cash. We have to take care of our own families. But we can offer a smile. We can do that. And once a month, we can offer a meal. And if you see the truck riding around the place, you can buy a meal, or you can get a meal for free. And the reason that ministry started is because when that sign on that side of that truck said, no one is turned away because of the inability to pay, we started getting these little donations, because it said consider $5 to help defer the cost, because we decided that $5 was the average rate or cost of the items on our truck. Remember, we were talking about loss leaders, making a lot of money off the red beans and rice, not so much off the gumbos, the seafood gumbos. So we said $5 was about the average food cost. And so that's what we said. Any dish is going to cost us about $5. If it costs us more than $5, I'm not doing my job right as a chef. So people started donating the $5, and I'd give a meal away. And then someone would donate $5, and then it would donate $5, and they would donate $5, and then we had a lot. And then 2013, National Gumbo Day was a Sunday. We took that money that we'd gotten, collected, because we put it to the side, and we made a big pot of gumbo, and that's how it started. And it's a while ago. And then it was just that one-time thing, and then we started getting the donations, and then it became a monthly thing. And then it became 5 food trucks parked on the highway, or on the highway, down a really cool section of town. There's about 5 food trucks with a dessert truck. Just the best food trucks in this city. And it was all free. And the people could come, and they could go to this truck, and they could go to this truck, and they go to this truck, and they go to this truck. The only difference was we made the serving sizes small. That's it. I told everybody 1/3 serving sizes, because we have 5 trucks, and I want everybody to go to every truck. Man, I can tell you stories all day about the wonderful people that I met and the people I'm still in touch with. Man, have I had an awesome life, kids. And hopefully you'll hear some of the good stuff and not so much of the bad stuff. But when you are starting a business, think loss leaders, think your food cost, and think generosity. because the reason we were successful was because our food cost started having to make sense with the food we were giving away. And then we were given this money to pay for that food, and we didn't squander it. We used that money to do these big events. And there was so much that went into those events, but we didn't waste it. And so the people were served. And man, and it was just because if you're honest and you share love with people, you're going to be successful. And the reason we were able to sell that business for a profit was because to this day, when someone says they're a customer of La Gumbo Yaya, there's a special place in my heart for them, because I feel like I was able to feed them. Last story, and then I'm calling it a day because we're at the time. But this was about 3 months ago. I was talking about food trucks in the city, and someone who didn't even know who I was, and it just came up in conversation. They said there used to be this really awesome food truck in the city called La Gumbo Yaya, and I'm not exactly sure what happened to them, but I wish they were still here. And I looked knowingly at my wife, and and then we confessed that we can make you some gumbo if you'd like. And it was pretty cool. So it's been a really neat ride. And when I was doing that food truck, I got to meet some really cool people. And hopefully you'll get to meet some of those people on this show eventually, because there's a lot of really neat people that I think I would love for you guys to meet. And maybe in a couple years, when things kind of tone down a little bit, we can get into some other topics. But right now, if you're in business, here's the keys to being in business and loss leaders. Have a menu item that you promote, that you love, that you make high quality, that doesn't cost a lot, that you can charge more for. Love your customers like they're your kids. Love your community, and realize that so much food just gets tossed. Don't toss it. Don't toss it. Last thing. I mean, like a lot of the food, when I say like in food trucks, you just toss it at the end of the night. So why not just give it away to somebody as they're walking by? It's the same food you would sell to someone else. I'm not saying leftovers. I'm not saying what you put in the garbage. I'm talking about the same stuff you're serving to your customers while you're serving it to your customers. And the last thing, they can order anything. If they wanted to order the little red beans and rice, they get that. If they wanted to order the lobster po' boy that's $25 on the menu that day, they can get that. One. That's it. That was the rule. One item, anything you want. And most of the time, it was not necessarily red beans and rice, but it was pretty close. Because most people who really need something don't want to take advantage. And then that's when we would say something like, hey, do you have anybody at home you want to bring one to? Yeah, we'll send one to go. Or, would you like something for dinner tonight? In an hour and a half, oftentimes some of that was going to be thrown away. I'd much rather know that someone put it in their belly. So this one's dedicated to my buddy Willie. So till next time, work hard, be kind, and have fun.